What if the pit you were thrown into wasn't the end of you, but the beginning of the man God is building? What if your trauma wasn't a detour, but part of your training? Today we're talking about Joseph, not the coat, not the dreams, but the breakings. Because sometimes God allows you to be broken to prepare you for something greater. How are you doing? My name is Eddie. I'm a trauma-informed Christian coach, and on this channel, we help men process pain, heal biblically, and lead from a place of wholeness. So let's walk through the life of Joseph, not as a fairy tale, but as a real blueprint for how God uses betrayal, suffering, and silence to shape a man into a leader. So Joseph's story starts in Genesis 37. If you're unfamiliar, his story starts with dreams and favor and then betrayal. Like Joseph was his father's favorite, the youngest of like 7, and his older brothers couldn't stand him for it. His father even went so far as to give him a coat of many colors, which is the story that most people are familiar with. But Joseph had a dream that his brothers would eventually bow down to him, and of course his brothers hated that. His own brothers, they stripped him of his coat, they sold him and staged his death, breaking their father's heart. That's trauma. Rejection, loss of identity, isolation. And then we get to Genesis 39. He's been sold into slavery and he's working at a man named Potiphar's house. He starts to rise in favor because he's working, but only to be falsely accused and thrown into prison. Potiphar's wife is trying to get at him. She wants him, she needs him, and she wants to take it. But Joseph was trying to be honorable. He's like, no, you're my master's wife. I'm not doing this. But she accuses him anyway, and he gets sent to jail. That's another wound. Injustice. He did the right thing. He told her no, but he still suffered. Does that sound familiar? How many of us have done the right thing and still suffered for it? In Genesis 40, Joseph interprets some dreams in prison. But then he gets forgotten. The people's dreams that he interpreted helped them get out of prison. And with their promise, they was going to help him get out. But they didn't. So he was forgotten about. But here's what you need to see. God didn't leave him. The Bible says in Genesis 39 and 21, the Lord was with Joseph. And God was doing something deeper. He wasn't just healing Joseph's pain. He was using the pain to build his purpose. By the time Joseph stands before Pharaoh, much later in the story in Genesis 41, he forgives his brothers in Genesis 45, and he's not bitter. He's ready. Why? Because he didn't skip the breaking. God didn't want to just rescue Joseph. He wanted to refine him. So today I want to give you a 3-step plan on surviving the breaking, because every one of us are going to go through this multiple iterations at a time. And how long we stay in this breaking really comes down to how well we manage our growth with God and listening during this breaking. There have been plenty of times, even in my life, where I was so resistant to whatever drama or whatever trauma was going on. I never got to learn the lesson that God was teaching me until much later. So step 1, sit in the pit. Don't rush the process. Before God promotes you, he prepares you. Genesis 37 and 24 says, and then they took him and threw him in a pit, which is our biblical model for this step. Sit in the pit. Why it matters. Joseph didn't choose the pit. None of us chooses the trauma that we end up going through. Some of us, the trauma that we go through is from our own poor decision making, but we don't choose the trauma. But God allowed it. Too often men want to rush their way out of discomfort instead of asking, what is God trying to reveal in this? The breaking isn't a punishment, it's preparation. So some action steps for step 1, sitting in the pit. Stop numbing. Let the discomfort expose what needs healing. It's a very important step here. Let the discomfort expose what needs healing, right? There are so many times where you're going to be sitting in a thing and you're going to feel betrayed. You're going to feel isolated. And these things need healing. And so if we can identify the things that you're feeling, it gives you an opportunity to start giving them to God. So you're going to reflect daily, what is God showing me in this darkness? Oftentimes, we are so far into a situation, we don't ask the question, what are you actually trying to show me? What am I supposed to be learning here? Where is this silver lining? And so to start with this step, you want to be able to start reflecting and asking that question. I personally love to journal, so you can journal your pit prayers and you want to do them honestly. David did this a lot in the Psalms. If you want to read some of those, you will read some of his angst and some of his anguish, but he was very real and very honest with God. So, step 2, stay faithful in the shadows. Obscurity is where character is forged. In Genesis 39:21, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love. He is never not with you, even when you're feeling like you're being very isolated and alone. In Potiphar's house and in prison, Joseph kept showing up, even when no one saw him. Brokenness does not mean uselessness. God is shaping you to be who you are before he reveals to you what you'll do. I like to capture this thought with, if I would not have gone through the traumatic experiences that I went through, I would not have sought out the healing, which would not have made me fall in love with being able to heal others with understanding how trauma works, right? I didn't realize while I was going through it that there was going to be a silver lining at the end of it, that this was going to be something that I was going to coach and something that I was going to teach. But here we are. And I'm glad now that I've gone through these things, because one, I am a better man for it. So actions: serve where you are, even if no one notices. Continue to show up. Be the husband you're supposed to be. Be the father you're supposed to be. Just be the man that you're supposed to be. Watch your reactions. Respond with integrity and not impulse. Oftentimes when we're in the middle of something, we're stressed out, we act upon impulse. So you got to make sure that you're being cognizant of your actions. And I want you to ask, how can I steward today well, even if I'm still waiting on tomorrow? And that thought process right there keeps us from getting into a space where we start a depressive spiral. We got to ask, how can we steward today well? How can I do well today, even if I'm still waiting on a victory tomorrow? Step 3, step into forgiveness and forward vision. The final stage of healing is redemptive clarity. In Genesis 50:20, it says, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Just like my story earlier, all the things that I went through, I've now been able to turn into good for the amount of people that I've been able to help coach, help heal, and help grow. And why does this matter? Joseph could have used his power to get even when he became Pharaoh's aide, but instead he used it to bring healing to his family. He forgave his family, and he was able to provide for a nation by having so much wisdom. Surviving the breaking means not wasting the pain. You move forward, not in bitterness, but of purpose. We can't walk around with a chip on our shoulder, because then we end up just cutting everyone around us. So I want you to make a list of what God has produced in you through the pain. Now, this is a good retrospective. If you're in the middle of a pit right now, it might be good to go back and think about the last time you were in a pit and say, okay, what good came of that? What character traits did I gain from being able to process and get through that? And then the next step, you want to pray for those who hurt you, not to forget, but to release, right? We need to come at it from a spirit of forgiveness. That does not mean we allow people to continue to hurt and betray us. If people are not healthy for you, then they need to go. However, that doesn't mean we need to hold on to that pain. And then lastly, begin building something that helps others from what broke you. You're going to go through a thing, and one of the things we talk about on this channel a lot is building community. Community is very, very, very important, especially amongst men that are trying to pursue greatness with what is God called them to do. So it's very important to be prepared, to be vulnerable, be open, because someone's going to have gone through the thing or going through the thing that you just got out of. And if you can help shorten that time span that they end up sitting in it by providing some insight, that is on you to make sure that you are responsible to use that pain appropriately to make sure that you can show someone else how to get out of it. So to summarize the whole thing, first step, you're going to sit. Second step, you're going to stay. Third step, you're going to step. Don't skip the breaking. It's where your identity is refined and your character is proven and your calling is clarified. So let me ask you this. What pit have you been thrown into? And what trauma has caused you to question God's purpose in your life? Like Joseph, your pain doesn't mean God is absent. It means he's active. The pit, the prison, the silence. All of it might be preparing you for the platform that you will require for the character God is forming in the fire. So, if this hit home, I want to invite you to download my free devotional, Men Aren't Dead. It's in the link in the description below. It walks through the lives of men like Joseph who were broken, bruised, and used by God. It's completely free. It asks you to name your price. You can hit 0 and it'll come straight to you. Click the link below. And I appreciate you spending some time with me. Please like and subscribe on my new channel. Leave a comment, helps me grow. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. God bless, brother.